So hopefully the people that know where it is, find it and share it amongst the group. So we'll get a couple of seconds for people to jump on. Excuse my lighting, I have to run from the studio up to the office just to do that. Brian has been waiting patiently. He's not been swearing at me or anything like that. So do let me know that you've got me here and everything is okay. Whilst I'm doing that, I'm going to try and load in Brian's video clip that we managed to edit together earlier, which was a clip of some phenomenal stage hypnosis. I love it because it's some of the older stuff as well that's just absolutely hilarious, which some of it you might not get away with these days, but it's really great content. Let me find out where I put that. So guys, do bear with me. I'm going to waffle for a little bit till people jump on. Guys, if you're one of the people that were due to watch this at the scheduled time, please share it to those people that you know want to see this as well. For some reason, the software shut down and wouldn't reconnect. So they've had to reboot my software virtually or remotely. So I've got no branding or anything at the moment. So well, at least it wasn't my fault this time. So guys, do bear with me. I'm just trying to find this video. And then we're going to introduce our guest, who we have a lot of people that come to stage hypnosis from hypnotherapy. He kind of came to hypnotherapy from stage hypnosis. And it's great to have him on because he can talk about the positives, hopefully, of what stage hypnosis does to the hypnotherapy field. So I'm actually, as I'm talking to you, I'm going through my files and realize that I actually need to alphabetize. I'm sure there's what someone put in the comment section what that right word is. I need to put them in chronological order. So there we go. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I'm getting the comments coming through now. Hopefully people can hear me. It's not a solar flare, Richard Cole, but I think maybe we've imported some of that Canadian internet. Maybe that's what it was. So guys, please do find the applause emoji so that you can have your applause ready for this gentleman. He is a true gentleman of the stage hypnosis world. I'm going to click that as that video starts to load. Oh, we've got Harvey Benjafield is here. Richard Cole's talk about the solar flares. Roy Miller, absolutely great to meet Roy in person at the weekend. Fantastic guy and a true gentleman as well. Roy came to a show I did on Friday. They are all on YouTube. Brilliant. Hi, Grant. There we go. So, guys, if somebody could share those and let people know where we are, we should do all right. It has gone up to YouTube. So, waffling over, technical issues sorted. I'm really warm upstairs in the office. My lighting's terrible. My sound's going to be terrible. But here's the weird thing. Tonight's guest is coming to us from inside a cave, an actual cave. He is the Batman of the hypnosis world. Please welcome Brian Glenn, or as his correct stage was, Glenn O'Brien. Give him a round of applause.
Well, great to see you, Grant. I'm glad you got the technical issues sorted out. They're telling me on Facebook, though, they're telling me there's about 10 people waiting to get in somehow. I don't know what that means. Maybe
yes. Well, you can see them coming on now. I think we've got 14 in the chat now. Oh, there we go. Round of applause for Roy Miller there as well.
Nice
so,
one.
For those that don't know, Brian, you just there you go. Carl Stowe is here as well. There we go. Carl is currently on your course in Sheffield.
Hi, Carl.
A great guy. So, Brian, introduce yourself, and as you do that, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just going to load up your inner vision stuff in the chat box on the side there.
I can waffle for England, me. So I'll just introduce myself. Yeah. Well, I'm as you probably know, I'm the principal of Inner Vision School of Clinical Hypnosis, which is now established as one of the biggest training providers, not just in the UK, but in Europe, because we run training courses here in Spain, in France, and also further south in Portugal. So we're pretty big at the moment, and we just come through the COVID crisis. So we've come out kind of smiling because we're taking a new intake as we speak. We've got some new courses starting this weekend, and they're doing really well. So we're really chuffed that we've come out of the other end of COVID, and we're still able to do the work. We did a lot of the stuff on Zoom during COVID. That kind of kept us ticking over. But we've got 7, maybe 8 tutors now in the UK working on my behalf, and I do all the management here from a cave in Spain.
In the cave, fantastic. A lot of hypnotists talk about their TV debut appearances. I do it. I always say you can see me on ITV. I'm not on there for hypnosis purposes, but you are a regular on, let's say, Homes Under the Sun, in the Sun.
Yeah, we've just been on A New Life in the Sun a couple of times, actually. If you go to my website, which I'll get you to post later, you'll see some of the, if you missed it, on Channel 4 earlier on in the year, you'll see that we had a good time with the film crew. They kind of took the mickey a little bit and gave me a lot of grief, but it was great. We had a great time. Yeah.
Brilliant. So tell us about, because I mean, you're old school hypnotist that's kind of moved his way into hypnotherapy and then took over the hypnotherapy world. So let's go back a bit. What was your first experience of seeing a hypnotist, whether stage or therapy? What first exposed you to it?
I was inspired when I was around about 16, 17. I ran away from home for a bit and I lived with gypsies for a bit. And I finished up, I don't know how I finished up there, but I finished up at, I don't know if it was Wakefield Theatre Club or Batley Variety Club. And I sneaked in. And there was a guy there called, you know him pretty well, he's passed away now, Martin St. James. And amazing, he's kind of inspired me. So I went again the next day and sneaked in again. And I finally, on the third night, I got to speak to him, to ask him, how the hell do you do all this? Is it real? Are they all fakes in the audience? And by that time I knew there weren't fakes because there was different people or a different audience every night. Yeah. So I was even more intrigued. So I decided he went back to Australia because he's an Australian guy. And then I went to see Ken Webster in I think he was in Scarborough at the time. Yeah. Great guy. I met him a few times. And I was inspired by his blue show. I thought, well, that fits in with me nicely. I want to know how to do this. And then my next inspiration was a guy that I had a few weeks ago, a lovely fella, David Knight. I saw his show a couple of times and I wanted to do it. And I thought, I've got a big ego. I want to be on stage. I love the sound of clapping and laughter. And I can't sing and I can't dance, but I thought maybe I can be a stage hypnotist. So I had a go and I pulled it off. And the thing that shocked me more is how quickly it kind of grew and grew and grew. In them days, there weren't many around because of the strict licensing. I'm not sure what the licensing situation is at the moment, but there weren't many around. It grew really, really quick, where I finished up for the last maybe 2 years as a stage hypnotist. Before I retired from being a stage hypnotist, I hit Blackpool. I was on Central Pier in Blackpool for a couple of seasons. Nice. And it's like, wow. And then tragedy struck, which I'll maybe tell you about later. Yes.
I mean, we always talk about the challenges. One of the things that you talked about then was kind of the blue show. And it's quite current at the moment, as in the fact of Roy Chubby Brown. Guys in America or Canada probably don't know who he is. I don't know. But Roy Chubby Brown is a very blue comedian, not my type of comedy. But here in the UK, he's been at Sheffield City Hall, I believe it was, for the last 30 years. And Sheffield Council, coming out of COVID, have cancelled his show, giving everyone refunds for the tickets, cancelled his show and says, we are not putting that type of humour on anymore. So, which is kind of weird, because in the olden days, if people didn't find your stuff funny or they found you offensive, then they wouldn't buy tickets to come and see your show. It's as simple as that. Whereas now it's kind of, it's in the wokeness of the world we live in, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing where we're going. But people's shows are being cancelled, not by audiences, but by councils and pressure. And it's weird to see. There was a comedian or someone that's just done something for, I think it was for a Scottish council on the COVID campaign. And they found some old tweets that she put out years ago and have then cancelled the contract that they had with her based on that. And it's so weird for me to judge people today by stuff years ago, because I know when I first got into this, and there's some great clips from some older material that we've got of Brian in a few moments' time, that for me, I spent the afternoon chuckling to myself with this. But like, some audiences now might not take to that. But the weird thing is nothing offensive is done, nothing harmful is done, but I think audiences are a bit more sensitive these days. How did you find, and a lot of Americans probably don't know, but like a northern working men's club or northern venues back in the day, you kind of had to be blue. True?
It depended where you was. If you were somewhere like Castleford in the working men's clubs, they didn't mind a bit of blue stuff.
Exactly.
But then some of the other places, maybe Hemsworth or where they're a little bit upper market, they wouldn't allow you to inside the place because they'd heard all about your blue stuff. But the thing that's interesting is the thing that kind of shot me. Not to fame, but to Blackpool, because when you hit Blackpool, they say, you hit the big time. And the thing that did it was I did a stage show in Scunthorpe, and I did a blue show in Scunthorpe, and I can't remember where it was. I think it was just a pub or something. And the Scunthorpe Council got involved, and they banned me. They banned my show, and they went in all the newspapers. It started off in the local newspapers, and it finished up going in I think it was the News of the World at the time, and some of the other tabloids. And everybody wanted to know what my show was like. So my ticket sales just boomed. So they did me a massive favour. But just on that note regarding Chubby Brown and stuff like that, I think it's shocking because, but he is naughty. I'm naughty too. But and I don't mind people having judgment, but please don't take away our freedom of choice.
Yes.
It's like, what they're going to do next. So it's about we live in a democratic society, and we should have a freedom to do anything we want, providing we're not breaking the law. And the blue shows don't break the law. And Chubby makes it, and he always has. I saw him years ago in Scarborough. He always makes it clear, and Ken Webster always makes it clear that if you feel like you're going to be offended, don't come. Simple as that. And then you've got the choice. At least you know. I can understand if I went to your show and I didn't know it was a blue show, and then maybe that would be offensive. But we're telling people what to expect, and and this should then be given the freedom of choice.
Yeah. And I think the phrase was, and if you are sensitive and are offended by swearing, then close your ears now. But I think if you are easily offended, then fuck off now. It used to be the phrase, which is very true. But weirdly, it's and most of even the most outrageous hypnotists that are out there that are doing blue shows, the outrageousness doesn't necessarily come at the cost of the volunteers. A lot of it is the presenter, it's the hypnotist, it's the comedy that's offensive and outrageous.
You're right. I wanted them to take the piss out of me, not take the piss out of the audience. I wanted the laugh to be on me. And I used to direct it that way. So I can remember a time when I did the old routine where I got the most ugly woman to fall in love with me. And that was a big mistake because she was massive and she chased me and she slung me over a pool table and jumped on top of me and I couldn't get up. And the laugh was on me.
Yes.
The joke, so I kind of milked it a little bit, made out like I was frightened and didn't like it and stuff. So it works really, really well. So I had this thing where, I don't want you to I don't want to intimidate or humiliate anybody. I want you to laugh at me and laugh at the way that the sketches are affecting me. And that worked pretty well. Yeah. And I think most hypnotists do that as well.
Absolutely. Natasha Stanley's asking, where are you from, Brian? She's only asking that because you said Hemsworth was posh, and I think that's where Natasha's from.
Well, initially, I was brought up in Pontefract, where the Pontefract cakes are made, and that's where I kind of got associated with gypsies and ran away with them for a bit. But Pontefract, I was brought up. Yeah.
She says you talk like you could live on my street. There's an offer. You can pull up your caravan next to Natasha's. So, I mean, I edited together some clips quite quickly today, and what was really good that I liked, and it's just in that clip, is you do the orgasm handshake at the end, but you do it on the guys as the volunteers, which I think takes away from a lot of the inappropriateness. And you just said then again, you pick on maybe they're not the prettiest girl to then fall in love with you. It's one of the things I always kind of find that, especially, as you get older as a hypnotist, is that concern with audiences that, it can look a bit whatever. But the way you did that, I just thought was a brilliant clip. But we'll play that in a bit for people. It's a nice montage of clips. And I actually put in there, you do a really nice drop back induction, which I know Carl was at a training thing this weekend, and was doing some drop backs, and this was a really nice way of doing it. So Carl, pay attention later on when we play the clip. So tell us about your first show. You've done your trainings, you've read your books, you've done your stuff, you're ready, you're out there. What was that like? What was your...
what I decided to do was do my first show in a place where nobody knew me, just in case it went wrong and I wouldn't look a fool. I could just kind of do a runner. So it was in Wakefield, and it was in one of the pubs, and I did it as a charity event for Pinderfields Hospital for the Spinal Injuries Unit, and I was bricking it. And you know what? I was a bit naughty because I stole a lot of sketches from other hypnotists because I needed to get started somewhere.
Yeah.
And after that, I kind of made my own. So again, with the inspiration of David Knight, what I tried to do was a clone of David Knight's show, and that worked pretty well. And I felt a bit embarrassed afterwards. I thought, now I know I can do it. I need to maybe change the material or adapt some of the material and make it more mine, and so that take ownership of it. And that's what I started to do after that. But I pulled it off, and I was kind of shocked afterwards how easy it was. And the problem with that, of course, I got a bit complacent. So I think my fourth or fifth show was a total disaster. So just because of my kind of cocky complacency. And I had to kind of check out my ego. My ego kind of ran away with me a little bit. And I think with most stage hypnotists, that's probably what happens early on. And if they don't keep it in check, they usually fall off the edge. And it's like, I tell you, the balmiest thing that I find, and I still find this, you just mentioned some of the sketches. I've got loads of videos here when I was doing Blackpool and stuff. And every time I watch them, it's like it's not me, it's someone else. And I'm thinking, I can't do that. Well, that was clever. How did you do that? And it's like a different persona. It's weird. It's a strange thing that happens. I don't know if you get that when you see your videos, Grant.
I mean, I watch a show back once and skim over it just to kind of remember it and kind of watch my blocking, etc. But I hate watching my show back. When I've done a good show, I like to put it in the memory banks and go, that's a great show. The next time I'm going to perform, that's the one I'm going to channel. If I have a bad show, I try and forget it as quickly as I can, because I think the issue a lot of new hypnotists have is they have a bad show and it gets in their head, and then they go to do another show, and if they haven't got one lined up in a short amount of time, the next show that they do, that bad show's running through their head. And they say being a stand-up comedian is the loneliest job in the world. It's not. It's being a stage hypnotist doing a crap show when you stood on stage and you've got no volunteers, or all your volunteers have gone. That's the loneliest job in the world.
It's a numbers game as well, isn't it? Because if you're a singer, you can sing to 10 people, can't you? Exactly. If you've only got 10 people in the audience, statistically, you've no chance of getting any of them into hypnosis. So it's
I think that's one of the secrets to longevity or success within it. My opinion as such is you've got to have confidence on stage, you've got to have personality on stage, and then when it doesn't go the way you want it to go, you can still hold court for a little bit. I always joke, there was a venue that I did that was a nightmare. They weren't expecting me whatsoever. There was some road workers in there that just wanted to, bed for the night in the venue. They weren't interested in anything else. And literally, I was like, I kept clock watching and go, guys, this is how it works. We've got 30 minutes left to go, and then Grant gets paid. So we're just going to keep going. Do you know what I mean? And then we were like, 20 minutes left for Grant to get paid. We're just going to keep going. And we made it it ended up being a really great night because you kind of got to address it and hold court. There we go. David Banfield said, I better brush up on my singing then. Yeah, it's always good to have something in there. So tell us about, you mentioned then about a show that was a disaster. Tell us about the most challenging show and what you learned from it.
I think one of the most challenging shows, and I learned a big lesson from this, is about health and safety, because I got this gig at, it was at a car showroom in Scunthorpe, and they'd arranged this ladies' night. And what they did in the car showroom, they took all the cars out, put a lot of chairs in, and put a temporary stage up. Yeah. And then blacked it all out with curtains. It was a great atmosphere, and it was even. There must have been about 200 or 300 people in there, all women. It's like, oh, this is all right. So I get on stage, and everything's doing absolutely fantastic, and I'm buzzing, absolutely buzzing. And then I did the routine where I make myself invisible. And then I think maybe you've done it. I think most hypnotists do it. They make themselves invisible and then chase them with a teddy bear or something. Or a kind of a monstrous teddy bear or something, and frighten them to death. So I did this, and they was all sat down, and I did it with this particular lady who couldn't see me, and I chased her with this kind of puppety teddy bear, and she pushed her chair backwards, kind of scuffed backwards on a chair, and fell down the back of the stage. I didn't realise there was a gap at the back of the stage, this temporary stage that they built, and it's like she'd done a back in, and it's like I'm thinking, and okay, it was all insured and everything, but I felt it kind of gutted me, because the last thing I want to do, and the last thing any stage hypnotist want to do, is hurt anyone.
Yeah.
And she was hurt. We had to stop the show and get the ambulance out, and it was so that was kind of one of the catalysts for making me change my direction.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I don't really want to do this anymore. I'm not into hurting people. There was other things happening as well, which I'll tell you about, but it was horrible, and we had to stop the stage halfway. And the other problem then, of course, is the people that I had on stage that was hypnotized, they just disappeared. I didn't get a chance to kind of de-hypnotize them, so maybe they're still running around like chickens every time you hear that hypnotic suggestion in the supermarket.
It's one of the things now. I mean, now especially because we've all got, everybody's got phones now. People get offended professionally. We do live in a society where it's, they're going to sue the venue, they're going to sue the hypnotist, they're going to sue the person sat next to them. There's all that stuff. So now it is, you are juggling chainsaws to make sure everything's right, everything's safe. And it's just, as the world has progressed, it's got tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter now. So, Catherine Taylor says, OMG. So Suzanne said, because I remember a sweaty old man sat next to me. Grant said he'd smell amazing. I just remember how amazing he smelled. Never smelled that before or since. I think I believe that was a charity show for a casino that Suzanne was at. So you've done Blackpool, and like I said, you changed direction a little bit. Before we go into that, guys, we've got 4 minutes of some of the clips from Brian, and then we'll talk about them afterwards. So yes, is there any language? There might be some language in these clips. And excuse the editing. I'm not the world's greatest editor, but we'll bring this up and then we'll see you on the other side.
As I'm talking to you, you'll start to get very, very relaxed, okay? And I'll ask you to close your eyes, and then I'll touch you on the shoulder, and you'll fall backwards into Alan's arms, and Alan will just lay on the floor into a deep trance, okay? He's standing right behind you. Just have a look to make sure he's there. He's standing right behind you, and he's going to catch you, right? So, for now, look into my eyes. Look deep into my eyes. Look deep into the hypnotist's eyes. The hypnotist has eyes that hypnotise, okay? Look deeply. Try not to blink. Really, really trying hard not to blink. Really, really looking there. Try hard not to blink. And notice how you're feeling. Notice how the changes appear. Notice how your body's feeling very, very relaxed and very, very peaceful. Looking now right into my eyes, deep into the hypnotist's eyes. And on the count of 3, I want to close your eyes and relax. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and close your eyes and relax. And deep. You're very, 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 very relaxed. You're going deep. Your legs will hold you. When I count from 1 to 3, you'll find a magnetic force pulling you backwards. You'll fall backwards into Alan's arms. He'll catch you and lay you on the floor, and you will go into a very deep state of hypnosis. So on the count of 1 to 3, you'll find yourself falling backwards because a magnetic force will pull you backwards. You fall into Alan's arms and you relax onto the floor. Here we go. This magic force getting more and more powerful now. Here we go. 1, more and more powerful. Here we go. 2, and it's going out. And 3, and relax, and down you go. It's caught you, and you put him on the floor, and you feel so relaxed. You're deep. You're going to be the world's greatest liar. He's telling me lie after lie after lie after lie. Really, really stupid lies about things you've done in your life. Pathetic, stupid lies about magnificent, fantastic things you've done in your life. What are you doing, Raj Chan? What's your name, Paul?
Jeffrey.
And what do you do for a living, Jeff?
I'm a soldier.
You're a soldier? What was your last mission?
Killed Saddam.
You killed Saddam Hussein? Did you really?
Yeah.
Just turn around, face into it. What was it like with killing Saddam Hussein?
Fucking awful.
Why?
Because he offered to pay me £10 million.
Bloody hell. Look at me. Sleep and relax. Okay, the next lie you tell me, and every lie that you tell me, your tongue will burn. It'll burn. It'll burn more and more. The more lies you tell me, the more your tongue will burn. Wakey, Resurrection. What do you say you do for a living?
I'm a soldier.
You're a soldier? Bloody hell. And what, have you ever done anything fantastic as a soldier?
Yeah.
What? Tell me something fantastic you've done as a soldier. Kill Saddam Hussein. Kill Saddam Hussein. You're not lying to me, are you? You wouldn't lie to me, would you?
No.
What's the matter with. Pretend that boy, you're dying for an ice cream. You love ice cream. I'm going to give you the most delicious Walls ice cream that you've ever had in your life. I'm going to give it to you, and you won't be able to eat it fast enough. It's so nice. It's absolutely gorgeous, this ice cream. You won't be able to eat it fast enough because you love it. It's the most best ice cream you've ever experienced. Here's an ice cream for the pop of medical blood. Get it in. What do you reckon to me? You won't do all that, will you? I don't think you will. Okay, wakey, Relshan. How does that feel, pal? How does that feel? Fantastic. You're alright with that. You look after my mate Ross for a minute. Yeah? Keep entertaining him while I find out what we're going to do next. Let's have a go. Do you like this? Is it making you feel? Yeah, you can go now. It's alright. How do you feel when she's touching that? How does this feel then? I'm just a hypnotist. Thank you. And if you, mate, I think you'll be absolutely brilliant tonight. So just to say thank you, here. Here's a $5 for helping me, pal. Alright. Pretty good. Very well, steady on it, bro. Now, just while you're there, everybody out here is wondering what it's like to be hypnotised. Just tell the people what it's like to be hypnotised. What's it like?
There we go. Do you know what? There's just some corkers there. There's some cutting them out for the editing. But yeah,
I'm glad you showed a big clean show. You want to see?
yeah. I love the drop back on that. I mean, a lot of the way people do the drop backs is to put the feet together to make them off balance and all that lot. But it was just nice to kind of stroke the back and then move the hand back and then watch them come with it as well. So that's a great way of doing it. That so yeah, brilliant. As Carl Stowe says, brilliant. Karen says so funny. Yeah, there's some, and again, some of my favourite routines in there, as in the automatic responses, the hot tongue when somebody tells a lie, or the more outrageous the lie, the hot the tongue will get. I always think there's certain routines that when they happen, the audience just take to them straight away, and that is a great one. Yes, brilliant. I wouldn't do wokeists say. I don't care what wokeists say. That's funny. Exactly, David. It's great stuff. We'll go down at the Pit Club. Is the Pit Club a Pontefract thing? Yeah. So yeah, obviously audiences have changed a lot since then. So you say you had a show that caused you some stress, so that kind of took you from the stage elements and you wanted to go down the therapy side of things. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was bizarre, really. I got a bit fatigued with it because what was happening, as I said earlier, the show it kind of exploded. It got big so fast, and I was working every night. I was doing Blackpool at the weekend and just about every night during the week, even midweek specials at working men's clubs and places like Wakefield Theatre Club at the time. And I was absolutely knackered. And I'd also got a day job as well. I was in engineering. I'd moved from being a psychiatric nurse to engineering because I got fed up of the restrictions in psychiatry. So I went back into engineering because that's what I trained to do when I left school. I trained to be an electrician. And I had an accident and I smashed all my arm to pieces. And it was pretty bad. And okay, the bone was broken and the bone mended pretty quickly. But one of the things that made it even more serious was I severed the nerve here. Oh. So my arm was paralysed. I couldn't move it. If I wanted to move it, I got to pick it up and move it. It was all withered away and clawed and thin and horrible. And I continued to do my stage show with my arm in a sling. And I kind of got away with it, making out that I'd slipped in the snow or something or done something silly. And so I continued with my stage show because I wanted to make a bit more money while I was all sick as well. So anyway, I continued with that for a bit. And it got to a stage where I used to go for checkups at the hospital maybe once every month or something. And the doctor said, sometimes these nerves will grow again. And if they do, they grow at 1 centimetre per month. So you've got to keep tapping. If you keep tapping, you can find the nerve end and you'll know whether it's growing again. A year passed and it weren't growing. I'm thinking, shit, what do I do now then, doctor? And the doctor said, well, you've got two options. You can either put up with it for the rest of your life and it'll never get better, it'll always be paralyzed, or we can amputate it. So I thought, well, I'm going to be positive here. Let's amputate it. And I got it in my head that people would recognize me as the one-armed hypnotist. So it'd be a good, unique selling point. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, do you mean that Brian in with one arm? Oh, yeah, I've seen him. So I was going to have my arm chopped off. I agreed with this. I got a date and everything to have my arm chopped off. So I continued my show with my arm in a sling, looking forward to this date when I was going to have my arm amputated. In the meantime, my father came to see one of my shows in Blackpool. I'd fallen out with my family previous to this, and I didn't even know it was coming. And after the show, he came round to the dressing rooms, and I was kind of gobsmacked to see him. I didn't expect him to be there. And he said, Brian, that was amazing what you just did with them people on stage. Obviously, he thought it was all mind power and stuff like that and control. And he says, it was amazing that. He says, how did you do that? I said, it's the power of the mind, Dad, showing off the power of the mind and all this kind of thing. He says, well, if it's the power of the mind, why don't you use the power of your mind to fix your own arm, for fuck's sake? And I thought, why didn't I think of that? So within 6 months, I started to feel my arm again. Within 12 months, it was almost back to normal again. And now it's kind of okay. It's a little bit weaker than the other one. If you was with me now, you'd notice that one was different to the other. But I can manage it now. It's perfect. And with that, it came at exactly the right time because I was getting a bit fed up of the stage stuff. I hated Mondays because I don't know if with you, Grant, but on a Monday, I used to have a come down because of the rush, the chemical rush that I used to have on stage. I hated Mondays and I was depressed. I was in a right state and I was like this. My mood swings was up and down all the time. So I couldn't manage my own mood swings. Yeah. I had to get a fix. It took me ages to wean myself away from stage. Yeah. A bit like Elvis, like just one more show. And so I weaned myself off there. And fortunately, I was able to prove myself and find a way to use hypnosis in a therapeutic way. Yeah. At the same time, I had a lot of bad karma because I got a very bad past. I'd got a criminal record. I'd done some silly things and I got a very bad past. So I got this horrible karma and I wanted to fix this karma. So I made a pact with myself. I made an agreement with myself at the time. I'm going back 20, maybe 25 years now. I made an agreement with myself that I would make my life's purpose. I would dedicate my life to helping 1 million people during my lifetime. Wow. That's what I did. So I decided I would do something to help everybody and with an objective to help 1 million people during my lifetime. And that's when I started as a clinical hypnotherapist. Then I thought, well, what do I do next? I want more people. So I started Innovision School of Clinical Hypnosis. So I started to teach people what I do. So they all went to most my million. And then I started setting other tutors on to teach my course in the UK. And it just grew and grew and grew and grew until, as you know, today, it's the biggest in the UK. And I'm still on this mission to help 1 million people during my lifetime. Somebody said to me the other day, well, how many are you up to? I don't know. It's metaphoric. So it empowered me to be that. And I've never done a stage show since. I've done a few party tricks and stuff like that. In fact, to be honest, I get bored even with the party tricks now. Stage hypnosis doesn't put me off because I think there's a massive part that you people play. If it weren't for people like you and the Paul McKennas of the world, there wouldn't be any hypnotherapists around. Yeah. So it's kind of gone full circle for me, and I don't think it'll ever go backwards to stage. It doesn't interest me at all now. And so there you have it.
Yeah. It's one of the things. I mean, I'm always a big advocate for Innovisions because I know a lot of hypnotherapy schools kind of push stage hypnosis as a negative thing. But yourself, with your history starting in stage and coming forward, it shows that, you know, there is lots of positives from it. And I'm a big believer in, especially on stage, a lot of it is about confidence and presence and intent. And a lot of that carries over into the therapy room as well. I always kind of say, you know, all hypnotherapists should learn a bit of stage, even whether they're going to go on stage or not, just so that it gives them that bit of razzle dazzle.
You're right, because one of the things that we do as Innovisions, we actually teach people to be tutors. And I do it from a stage perspective because when I have a class, I'm still performing. Yeah. And it's like I put a bit of fun in there, and I do a few stage tricks and even some magical tricks that I know, and maybe a little bit of Darren Brown mind reading. Yeah. So it's a performance. So when we actually train the tutor, we actually teach them to have that charisma and to do it as a performance. Yeah. Because so I never actually stopped performing. I just changed my stage.
Yes. And it gives you more control over that stage. Like, I mean, you'll know from back then, and it's very much still the same now. One night you can be in a very prestigious, wonderful venue, and the next night you can be in a working men's club somewhere where they've got, you know, karaoke on the night before, and it's, you know, you kind of, you know, the northern circuit is not, it's not, you know, it's not for the weak at heart. You have got to be brave sometimes. It's weird because I do very little work kind of North England now. A lot of my stuff's down south, where just because I'm northern, I'm automatically funnier. So yeah. I mean, I know you travel with your. Do you still have the big motorhome?
Yeah, I've got my motorhome. We're going away this weekend. I'm going down south. I'm going to see my mate Mark in Portugal. So we're traveling. We're going away for 10 days.
Nice. It's one of the. I know you do a lot of stuff with law of attraction. And to see that kind of how Innovisions has grown and enabled you to kind of travel and follow your dreams as well. And that's one of the good things with hypnosis, not just stage, not just therapy.
Absolutely.
It's there is no ceiling to what we can do.
Because the law of attraction is quite a big part of my life. Because as many people here know, I started out. I was homeless for a good 12 months. My home was Woolworths shop doorway in Pontefract for ages, and I used to put a brick through a window so they could get in, locked up for the night and get bed and breakfast. And now it's the opposite. I've got this beautiful place here. We've got a B&B here. It's just such a amazing, and every day it's thank you. Yeah. So we thank the universe for what we've got. I've still got me. I still need a filter sometimes for the effing and blinding. So I still one of the other things I had to do when I did the pact all those years ago was to promise I would just be myself as well, the authentic self, because I'm a big believer in the authentic self. You know, you've got a right to be who you want to be. And if that wannabe is something bad, then you also have to face the consequences. So it's about taking responsibility and taking accountability for who and what you are, and stop doing this. Because when you do this, there's three fingers pointing back at yourself. Yeah. So it's like, you know, take full responsibility for your own life. Stop whinging and fucking whining. And we can't change the past. There's no future in the past, but we can change tomorrow. The past is in your head and the future's in your hands. So, you know, let's work on tomorrow. And this is one of the things that I teach. You know, we don't do the old-fashioned regression techniques and stuff anymore. They're outdated. Yeah. We want to work from now forward. Yeah. We don't want to work backwards. You know, you've told your story a million times, and the more times you tell that horrible story, you're cutting all these bad neural pathways in your brain and making it even worse.
Exactly.
So it's like, let's work from now forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Count Taylor says, and you are amazing, Brian. Innovisions changed my life.
Thanks, Karen.
Natasha
I'll send you the check.
Yeah, you don't need a filter. Stay true to you. It makes you more relatable.
Thanks, Natasha.
It's one of the good things as well. I mean, it's quite often, if I am doing a show anywhere where there's been an Innovision school, I often get you know, therapists that have trained with yourself that come up and kind of go, "Oh, I've trained with Innovisions." Do you know what I mean? So it's amazing that the reach that you have had across Europe now. So what's your next project? What have you got your goals set on now?
Well, do you know what? I came here to retire. That was like 7 years ago. And again, it's another Elvis thing, isn't it? Just one more show. So when I got here, it was like just one more course. And it's like, I'm still doing courses. We do courses. We've just got a new advert out today. We're doing a course in the cave here because the cave lends itself well to a classroom. So I'm still doing courses here in Spain. So I don't think I'll ever kind of retire. In fact, I've come out of retirement more now because I've even started seeing clients again. Although it's via Zoom, I've got clients all around the world now via Zoom. So it's like I'm going backwards. And I think it's working because I look a lot younger as well, don't I? So that's.
I think it's one of the positives to take from the pandemic, if there is a positive to be taken from it, is like Zoom for therapy. I think is such a good thing because it gives people the ability to get that help that they need where they are. They don't need to have that barrier to leave the house and go to a therapy thing. And it's that moment where they can go into the spare room, they can be with just them and the therapist. And I think it makes it more easily accessible for the people that need it. So,
And also from a business perspective, it also widens your audience because before we got onto Zoom, we was only working like 10 miles radius of our house, but now we can work all around the world via Zoom. So you're right. I think there's lots of positives come out of the pandemic if you take time to look. And I think those positives are just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger now as time goes on. Okay, it was difficult. It was pretty shitty for some. And we unfortunately, we lost a lot of people.
Yeah.
But there's always a rainbow. And, you know, the yin and yang situation suggests that we can't have negatives without positives. And the positives always win. We just got to sit back and be kind to people and accept people's views without having them influence you too much. And just be kind to people and look after your loved ones more.
Yeah. I also ask people this, a book recommendation. If you were to recommend a book for, whether it be stage or for therapy, if you were to recommend a book for people, what would it be?
I would recommend my book. So you can go to Amazon and type in my name on Amazon. And I've written a book recently called Fuck 'em and Fix It. Fuck 'em and Fix It. And it's a self-help book.
One second.
It's typical Brian style, very controversial, but it's getting shitloads of feedback. I bet there's some people on here that's read it. I bet that we're going to get a couple of posts in a minute, people that's actually read it. But it's not a thick book, because what I hate about books is when you buy a book, it's about that thick. But 90% of it is packaging. It's bollocks. Yes. There's only a few nuggets in it. So what I've done, I've written a book of nuggets. So it's a thin book, but it's full of nuggets. There's no packaging on it. And it's typical Brian, lots of swear words in there, called Fix 'em and Fuck It, or Fuck 'em and Fix It. I can't remember which way around it is.
That's what we'll do, Brian. We can do better than that. We will have a link to it come up now. 1 second. There we go. I'll just bring that up into the stream. There we go. Oh, that's the link to my YouTube channel. So if you're watching this, normally we go live on YouTube as well. Please do go to YouTube and subscribe on there. That would really, I'd be very grateful for that. Where are we up to? Click on this. Why not appearing? 1 second. Let me make it appear again. It should be here. Oh, it's because it needs an image. Let me just stick a random image. It's not a hypnosis image. It's just a random image that's not of anything offensive. There we go. Stick that one on there. 1 second. I'll get a link to come up for the book. It is got, yeah, it is Fuck 'em and Fix It. A DIY guide to unfuck your head.
That's it. That's the one.
There we go. That image is not the book, obviously, but a link should have just come up in the comment section where you can purchase a copy of Fuck 'em and Fix It. And it's FUKEM, so it's not a swear word.
Thanks, Grant. Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I know another hypnotherapist that's just released a book and has had nothing but problems on Amazon because of it. But it's a great thing, I think, when there's controversy about something like the Roy Chubby Brown, the next time he does a theatre, is going to sell all of his tickets because of that controversy.
It's like I did with Scunthorpe when he got banned in Scunthorpe. Went crazy.
Yeah,
it's a massive turning point for my career.
Yeah, Natasha Stanley says might be my new motto. And Carl says, I'm currently training in Nottingham under Lynn Appleyard. The course is truly fantastic.
Hi, Carl. She's a lovely person. You've got one of our best tutors there. Good luck with you. Give us a shout if you need to.
Brilliant. So, yeah, so that's the book. Yeah, any final words for these guys?
I think
what tip would you give somebody wanting to get into hypnosis, not necessarily stage, whether it be to clinical? What tip would you give them that is because you'll know sometimes people come into this industry and it's not right for them. What tip would you give them to be the best hypnotist that they can?
I think, personally, again, this might get me into trouble. Personally, I believe the best hypnotherapists are the ones that have had a good life. Some people think that because they've had a lot of shit in their life, that they're able to understand other people's shit and make them better. But the problem with that is their shit is not the same as your shit. The situation might be the same, and the way you sorted yourself out might be good for you, but it might not be good for someone else. So if you've got a lot of shit in your life, you become biased. You think you know everything. It's a bit like, if you're a recovered heroin addict, you think you know how to help heroin addicts, when really you just know how to help yourself because that's what you did. And you tend to be a little bit biased. I find that the ones that had a good life, they're relatively naive, they have a beautiful heart, and I think the other thing is that they must be, the priority has got to be helping people as opposed to making a lot of money out of it.
Yeah.
I do know a lot of people who have made a lot of money out of it, but they work hard for it and they're good hypnotherapists. There's a difference. If you're good at it and you're doing it from your heart, you deserve to be paid for it. But put your heart first, and also find a good training provider, like and I think one of the pieces of advice I can give to everybody is that I got this advice from Bill Broom at the General Hypnotherapy Standards Council when I first started, and he said what he said to me. He said, Brian, the more successful you are, the more enemies you'll make. So you will make enemies along the way because people want what you've got, but they don't want to work for it. But don't focus on your enemies. Let them get on with it. Don't fuel them. Just focus on positive. And I've got a lot of enemies. You've only got to go on Facebook, and there's lots of people that hate me, and that's because I don't take shit. I've kicked them off the course because I've been, I don't know, bullying some of the girls, or intimidating, or being stupid, or getting into conflict with the tutors. I just boot them off, and it's like I don't take prisoners. So I've created a lot of enemies along the way. But when people ask me, Brian, how come you've lasted 25 years? How come you've probably lasted longer than any other training provider? That's one of the reasons, because we don't take shit. You know, we don't just teach anybody. We do that first weekend for free, and we monitor to make sure they're going to be okay. And then if they're okay, we give them the opportunity to do the rest of the course, which is paid. And if they don't want to, that's fine. And also, we do a pay-as-you-go system, so that it means that when we get to module 8, if you turn out to be an asshole, we'll kick you off. And you've had what you've paid for. You don't have to pay any more, but we don't owe you anything either. Yeah. So it's a system that works. It's all based on formulas, and it works pretty well. But I think it's working from in here. Don't use scripts, because scripts are written by someone else for someone else. Okay, you can get a few ideas from scripts, of course, but work with your intuition and your own heart. Yeah. Connect to the person, be that person for a while, feel what it feels like to be that person, and really, really find a way to connect and put your own issues away. It's not about you. Yeah. It's not about you. It's about them. And finally, make sure there's only one hypnotist in the room.
Yeah, just a couple of things as well. Richard Cole says their shit isn't your shit. That's my takeaway today. That is a
absolutely
thing as well. Yeah. So what you mentioned there, it's quite a good thing about scripts. I know online is a big thing about scriptnosis and blah blah blah. I think scripts are like, when you're saying earlier, when people first start doing stage hypnosis, they copy somebody else's routines and then they make it their own. I think when you first start doing hypnosis, your confidence about trusting your intuition isn't massive. So to have something there as a prop to give you ideas, yes. But then you've then got to make that your own, learn the language patterns, figure it out. And that, in my experience, that person that's sat in front of you, whether it be in person or on screen, that person gives you everything that you need.
Absolutely. They've got all the answers. You've just got to listen for the clues. Because exactly. My next tip would be, don't listen to their story, because they've told that story a million times and they're still not better. Yeah. So 9 times out of 10, it's not that's causing the problem. It's something else. The subconscious knows. So don't listen. Don't let them waffle on. It's not a counselling session. Don't let them waffle on. Get them into hypnosis and find out what the real issue is, using Watkins Bridge or something, and then deal with that from your heart. Give them lots of hugs on the way out as well.
Fantastic. Brian, it's been an absolute pleasure. I keep promising myself that when I can, I'm going to come over and see you, just because it's been too long, to be fair.
Yeah, we'll get you a gig at Benidorm, mate. We'll get you on.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, guys, please do show Brian some love. I'll put the link up one more time to Innovisions. That will bring up the link to Innovisions, the training school, and some information about Brian as well. And and please do show Brian some love on social media, like, share, subscribe to his stuff as well. Sorry about the technical issues earlier. Normally I'm not upstairs, I'm in a studio downstairs and I look a little bit better, but being in the dark seems to do me well, to be fair. So it's took about 5 years off, so I'm quite happy. So guys, thank you very much. Please, like I said, do give that applause emoji for Brian. And thank you very much. And Brian, thank you as well.
Send me a friend request. I could do with a few friends. Send me a friend request.
Brilliant. Fantastic, Brian. See you later.
Look after your loved ones. Adios.
Cheers. Adios.